So hello and welcome to What Happens When Students on Their Own Own Their Own Learning in an ELA course. My name is Melissa Charette. I'm the 2018 ESD 113 Teacher of the Year. I come from Olympia School District, and my co-host.
I'm Shanoa Mahar, and I am the ESD 123 2021 Regional Teacher of the Year. I'm from Kennewick, Washington.
All right, and we'll be your hosts for the session. Assisting with this session is also Stephanie, our fabulous tech support. We'll be monitoring the chat, so if you have any questions, Ryan will pop back on our face. We're going to turn off our cameras and everything so you can present. And then when our faces pop back on, that means someone has a question.
Oh, okay. But you're still there, right? You're not just leaving me. You're still there. Okay.
We are not leaving you.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. We'd like to introduce your presenter for this session, Ryan Anderson. He's a 6th through 12th ELA teacher from Battleground Public Schools. He's nationally board certified, a Washington State ELA fellow, and was Washington State's ESD 112 Regional Teacher of the Year finalist in 2020. As his school webpage says, he is here. The man, the myth, the legend, Ryan Anderson.
And I don't know where you get that information. It's almost like you read that right off my website. Then I wrote it myself, and I have ego issues or something. I don't know. But thank you for that wonderful introduction. Now their faces are disappearing. And I'm suddenly feeling anxiety because I can't see you, but I know you're there. I know you're there, and it's good for me to feel anxiety and discomfort. Like one of the student panelists said, did you guys catch that? Quinn from the last session, I really love that quote. He was like, teachers need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I was like, amen. That is exactly right. And I'm going to do that this afternoon because I'm going to try a whole bunch of new things, and I'm going to learn a whole bunch of things that I don't know how to do. Like, I've never used Zoom webinar before. This is a brand new experience for me. And I also have some other crazy ideas that I'm just going to try out because I'm trying to model the courageousness that it is required for us educators to we educators. I'm going to use the wrong words too. It's going to be really great presentation, really professional sounding, probably. The courage that we educators need to have, to put these changes that I think a lot of us are aware we need to make into practice. And that doesn't come comfortably, like you got to try new things in ways you've never done. You got to stretch yourself. And you got to get into that. So I'm modeling that right now. In case you're wondering, I am super uncomfortable. I'm like nervous because I'm so excited to be here. I'm so honored to be asked to present at this conference. Last year, I found this conference to be one of the most inspiring and like efficacy inflating things I've ever attended as a professional. And I am super excited that I get to be a part of that. And I'm also like, I hope I don't blow it. I hope I don't do something that will just make people think, this is not any good, or, you know what I'm saying? You guys feel that. Okay. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit. I think I can share my screen. I'm just going to try it here in a second and find out, because if I can't, then boy, it's going to be a lot of my face and not a whole lot of things for you to look at. But I have sort of an outline type thing I'm just going to refer to real quick. I don't know if you guys can see my screen yet, but here it is. All right, there we go. So I was listening to the student panels. I went to both student panels earlier today because I felt that was one of the more powerful things from last year's conference. And I remember thinking last year, wow, these students are singing my song. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. I kind of feel like as an educator, I've been on this journey of how do you reimagine education, and what is education for? Those two big questions that this conference is all about. I've been thinking about that for a long time. I know a lot of you who are present in this session have maybe already also thought about that before pandemic made it a really big question for all of us to figure out on the fly, right? But I was listening to those students, and I was like, okay, these guys are singing my song again. And I hear in their voices and in what they're saying about what needs to happen, a lot of these elements of Hattie's visible learning, right? The teacher estimates of student achievement, believing in your students. I've heard several students articulate that they really just want more of us to say something to them that indicates to them that we believe in them, right? And then to empower them to do what we know that they can do, right? And so that's one of the highest influencer according to the Visible Learning meta resource, which I think I share this at some point later on in my presentation here. Cool resource. You can take a look at, I just keep jumping around. I apologize. Great resource. I try to look at that often and think of different ways that I can incorporate and redesign what I try to do with students and peers and colleagues and all that sort of stuff. And this is the thing I was just talking about when I got super inspired last time at WATEC 2020. I felt like my efficacy, because I saw and I heard a lot of people that were thinking the same kinds of things that I was thinking and seeing the needs that I was seeing. And it did something for my journey of reimagining, right? And I was like, okay, I am on the right track. And I hope that that's an experience a lot of you are feeling today. And I hope that my session also helps that along the way. But seeing examples of other teachers grappling with these needed changes and ways that they're doing it can help us reestablish and connect and build that collective teacher efficacy that will lead us to actually reimagining what education could be / should be / it's about time. You know what I mean? Okay. And so, yeah. And then there's this teacher credibility thing. I heard that pretty strongly. Just the sense of the teachers care about me as a person, and I can trust them because I see them, kind of modeling some of the things. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do right here. I'm trying to establish some credibility for whoever might be attending this session because I'm going to ask you to do some things maybe, and this might be a little different than what you might be expecting a conference session to be like. So there you go. Buckle up. This might be for me, and for you, this might be answering another question. What happens when conference attendees own their own learning in a specific session? Because I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna try and flip this presentation a little bit. So that might be fun. I have no idea what's about to happen, but it is definitely not the way I originally thought I was going to do this. But then I thought, I'm not going to stand up here and I'm not going to lecture at you and show you all the things for an hour, because I'm talking about flipping and letting people self-direct their own learning. So I'm going to have you practice it while you're learning about it. How about that? Okay, so here's a brief outline, right? I'm gonna yak for just a little bit, and I'm almost done, right? And then I'm going to send you to some resources that I've created. And I'm going to actually maybe see if I can put that in the chat right now. Maybe, I don't know if that's something that I can do, but I'm going to sure give it a try. Let me learn something here. Where is my chat feature? I don't know. Is it right here? Great. Paste. Can I paste something? There we go. There is a bit.ly URL. You can click on that and go to a website that we're going to be using a lot in this session. I have another one. My tech person at my district said some districts are they're facing some blocking issues with bit.ly. So here's a tiny URL version of it, if you'd like. And if that's not enough, I'm going to give you the whole URL, because some people just like to see all those random characters. I'll give you lots of options in this session. Here we go. Pasting all of those things. And you know what I'm doing? I'm also just pasting it to the panelists. So there you go, panelists. You're welcome. You're the only ones that get access to it. How about panelists and attendees? There's the big URL, and I'll repaste those other things. I apologize. Look at me learning right there. I am so happy that I got to make a little Zoom mistake and learn in front of you so that you guys can see that this is what I'm all about, learning and growing and individualizing and all that stuff. Can you see those now? There we go. So there are a bunch of different ways to get there. So in just a second, what I'm going to have you do from this site is spend about 10 minutes taking a look at the sort of the intro part of it, right? There's 3 sections: the who, which is more wonderful fact-based information about me, which you heard some of already. So you might, if you don't want to know any more about me, you can skip it. You're not required. Okay. There's also some when and where. Okay. So I guess I'll click on these things to show you what I'm talking about. There's some when and where, some teaching context, things that I think are kind of, connected to the innovations that I've been trying to do throughout the years. And then there's the what. So this is the place where I kind of overview the whole thing. Okay, and on each of these pages, there's usually a little tour where I have made a little instructional video that's just about what's on this page, briefly showing you what to do and how to do it and where to go and all that stuff for the thing that you're actually clicking on that you might want to know more about. Does that make sense? You get to own your own learning and self-direct and not just listen to me for an hour straight, although you will listen to parts of me if you watch the videos, but there's a whole bunch of reading and stuff that you can do in there too. So if you'd rather not hear my voice, you can just mute it and turn the closed captions on. if that helps. Anyway, the big, like, in a nutshell overview of what my system looks like is this video right here on the what page. All right, for those of you who just want to get down to finding out what I'm talking about, there it is. And then there's some linked sections to the other thing. Now, what I would like you to do, I'm going to challenge you, okay? I want this to be as interactive and flipped kind of as we can make it. And so there's a Padlet, right? This Padlet is embedded on the website. And if you would like to pop it out, you can just click that little button right there. It looks like this. Okay. And oh, looks like we have a go-getter. Somebody already did the first step. Look at that. That's wonderful. So as you do the first 3 parts where you're looking at, if you want, you can look more about me or my teaching context or what it is. I would like you to respond to the first column and tell me who you are, right? Because I want to be able to personalize your learning as much as possible, but I need to know who you are and what you're interested in, that kind of thing. So go ahead and go down to the bottom of that column and hit the plus button. And just like this go-getter guy did, put your name, and if you would put your email address in there too, that would be wonderful, because if you are attending this session, I want to know more about you and contact you and work with you and all that stuff so that we can build our efficacy together, right? Put in there, what do we have in common? Because you might find that we have some things in common, and that's going to help us build relationship and establish teacher credibility and influence your learning, as you might know from Hattie's work. And then what is it that you are most hoping to learn today? From the description or from what you've heard so far, what is it that you are here for? Put it in there. And I would love it if you got creative. You can type it. You can make a video if you want. You could record something. You could, whatever you want to do, demonstrate your learning your own way. That would be awesome. And then I'm going to respond. Look, somebody's going for it already. Okay, so I'm going to now I'm going to model the process here. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to mute myself, and I'm going to give you 10 minutes to go to that website and experience whatever you are interested in about the who, the when, the where, and the what of what we're talking about today. All right, go for it. That is fine, Sharon. Don't worry about feeling lost. Part of learning is getting lost sometimes, right? And so I can repeat those directions for you. Anybody that showed up recently, you might be wondering what the heck's going on. So I have shared out, hopefully you all have access to this website right here. And if you don't, let me know and I'll try and reshare that for you, okay? And on this website, I'm trying to give you a flipped experience of a session here so that you can kind of self-direct. Do you want to know more about who I am? Maybe you don't. You might want to skip that page, right? You don't need to. Does that make sense? Do you want to know more about my teaching context and how that applies to the innovations that I'm talking about in later videos? You could check it out here. And then there's the what. What is it? The overview of what's going to be shared in later parts of this. And then there is the embedded Padlet for you to introduce yourself and tell me some more about what you're here and what you're excited to learn about. Okay, hopefully that helps clarify for anybody who joined us late. Thank you. All right. Well, if I can pull us all back together for just a few minutes here, I see a lot of people have ventured into the posting of the introduction stuff over here. I've had a chance, while you guys were looking at my introductory stuff, I was looking at yours. And I'm kind of trying to model one of the things that I do with my learners while we're doing this flipped learning thing. I try to make sure it's an individualized, one-on-one feedback kind of relationship that I'm building with my students while they're all doing a bunch of different things potentially when they're with me or when they're learning asynchronously, right? And so what I was doing is going on and adding a comment to each of the introduction posts that people shared with me and with each other. And that's what I would like you guys to do now. So I saw somebody actually did it. Somebody named Becky. Yeah, she went in, she added something to somebody's intro. So I'm just going to encourage everybody to do that too. Let's be as collaborative as we can. Take a look at what other people are here to learn and where they're from and what they've added into their introduction sections, and leave a comment on at least one other person's intro, would ya? Just for a couple minutes here, and then I'll give you the rest of your instructions for the main event. Oh my gosh, my mic was on. Were you guys listening to me typing? Sorry about that. I forgot to mute myself. Anyway, it looks like a lot of people are getting on the Padlet, and I've seen a few people, adding a comment to somebody else's intro. So I am really glad that you guys are already venturing out, maybe outside your comfort zone, trying something maybe you haven't done before or extensively. And the more collaborative that we can make this, like I said before, the more efficacy we will experience from it. All right, so I think intros aside, there is a need for me to kind of give you the rest of the directions. Okay, so we did a little bit of a warm up there, a little taste of how this session's going to go for the most part, right? And so what I hope that you take away from the session is at least one, this is like your learning goal, okay? At least one idea for you to shift your practice in one of these 5 areas. That doesn't mean you couldn't have more than one, but I'm really hoping everybody comes away with at least one. All right. And so I tried to set this site up to accommodate the specific interest that you might have. So if you can just go directly to that area and just experience the materials that are there. And there's quite a few. And so there may be times where you might want to, I don't know, come back later, even after the session, and that hopefully this material gives you the ability to do that and extend your learning, because in a flipped classroom situation, we're not really bound by time like we are in a traditional learning experience where the teacher is dispensing the knowledge and the learning live and synchronously. This way, it's kind of prepackaged, like a lot of us were learning how to do during pandemic, and you can come back to it and you can review or go to things that you didn't have time for today. All right, so what's going to happen is I'm going to give you a 20-minute time to explore, and you can just direct your own learning the way that you want for the areas that seem the most interesting to you. I'm going to give you a quick kind of overview tour type thing. So if you were to click on the how over here, there's a bunch of subpages that pop up that align with those areas of interest that I hope you come away with at least one idea for shifting your practice in. And on the main page for how, there's also a whole bunch of the tools that I am using to do what I'm doing, with little tutorial instructional things about each one of those. If you want to take a look at it that way, you can. If you want it to be more topic driven, you can just click over here and find out what I have to say about how I do multi-grade, multi-course, or whatever the topic you're interested in. At the top of each page is going to be a quick overview of what materials you will find. So you might want to start with that video at least. And then you can pick and choose from these, the little menu of those ideas, or you can try and watch all of them. There are 4 to 5 to 6 videos usually on a page, except for the last couple are fewer, but the videos might be a little longer. And then again, down at the bottom, there is the Padlet again. So if you find an idea, as soon as you get that idea that you think you can take away, I want you to remember to go to the Padlet, right? And post it and tell me what it is that you seized on, so that I know that you've learned what you came here to learn, right? And then if you have time, you can take a look at some of the other topics that might hold your interest. So there's a lot of videos, right? And you don't have to watch them all. Thank you. Whoever said the left-hand ones were all good. I like that. There's also a bunch of reading. If you are more interested in reading, if you want to go to the Y page, there's a whole bunch of like narrative kind of written word, no video type things that you can experience if reading is more your style. A few examples of why I started on this journey, and some different types of writing that I've done for student models, and that seemed kind of appropriate to what we're trying to do here. Okay, so there's lots of different things that you could do. And there's also, let me just kind of preview it here. There's also a little bit more about my journey so far, and the journey that I've been on with a few of my colleagues, and what I'm going to be doing next, right? When I'm reimagining education. There's this page where I kind of go over that briefly and show some new things that I'm working on. And then the last little thing there, you may remember from the description, I actually am privileged enough to work with a group of educators at my building from multiple disciplines who are kind of starting to think the same way about how we need to change education. And we have a little website there if you want to take a look at what our plans are to unify and collaborate and create a new kind of program that's based on a lot of the things that you'll see on other pages of this site. And there's a video of us just kind of, like a panel discussion, trying to articulate what it is that we're trying to build, and how each of us has a specific part of it, and what we're all excited about, and why we believe in this movement so much. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to you, and it is your chance to just self-direct your learning. Which of those things is it that you really want to know about? And that's your session experience. There's another element of the Padlet too. If you are in one of those places where you're learning about some of that stuff, and there's something that I don't cover that you want to know more about, right? There is a column. You kind of have to scroll to the right a little ways. It didn't fit on one screen, but there's a questions column. So if you have a specific question that you would like more information about, I'm going to be trying to take keep eye on this while you guys are working. And then I might be possibly making some videos while you are looking at other videos that I've made to answer any questions that pop up there. If I can do that while we're together, I'm going to, but if I can't, I will do so after the session is over, and you'll be able to get your answer that way. Okay. So there we go. We're going to put 20 minutes on the clock, and then yeah, we'll reconvene after that and take a look at what some other people got out of the session that they explored during this time. Now I'm going to remember to mute this time. Here we go. All right, as we run out of our 20-minute self-directed time, I would just like to re-encourage you to post anything that you got specifically from the materials that I have for you. Any idea that you're feeling like that you can use that to shift your own practice, because you know what, that's what I wanted for you. So, and that's going to help out my efficacy to know that I helped some people reimagine education. That's sort of what I was hoping to do here. And I see that a few people have already begun this. If you haven't had a chance to see what other people are posting as far as things that they're taking away, it would be really great opportunity for you to go ahead and look at some of those maybe and post a comment. If you feel so moved, that would be another way to influence our collective efficacy here. The more people that we share evidence of our learning with and evidence of our effectiveness with, the more efficacy we generate. So that's one of the reasons why I'm encouraging you to do that. All right. So yeah, there's a question over in the question column. I'm just going to answer that live right now, if that's okay. Do we get to keep access to this information? Absolutely. You can, I mean, the website is yours. You can have it, bookmark it, whatever you want. If you want more, email me. I will make more information for you. Let me know. I will support you in any of this kind of thinking in any way that I can. And by doing so, that's going to help me grow. And the more of us that get involved in that kind of networking and stuff, the stronger we become and the more possible these changes become, right? Because we can't do it alone. That's one of the messages I wanted to give everybody as we kind of roll toward a conclusion here. You can't, I mean, it takes some courage to make some changes in your own practice, but if you can find some like-minded individuals and work together on those things, like I have had the wonderful privilege to do. I have several people who have been active in the chat and on this Padlet that I work with every day, basically, and we share ideas about these types of things. And I wouldn't be able to do any of the stuff that you see on any of those videos if I didn't have other people nearby that were thinking along those lines. So the more we can do that above and beyond our little locations in our own buildings and our spheres of influences, the stronger we become, right? And the more likely these changes have a chance to make lasting change that really impact a wide variety of students. So I see a lot of people are posting questions now, and I'm going to get to those. I'm going to keep checking this Padlet, probably forever. I don't know. I hope to use it to continue networking with you guys and answering questions. And if you, like I said, if you want some more specifics, if you have a really specific question, like, hey, could you make a video about how you do this? And if it's, I will do that and add it to the resources for you and let you know that that's there. Okay. Well, there is something I would like to challenge you to do, right? There's this column right here on the Padlet. I don't know if some of you are already doing this thing. Part of what I wanted to do is to extend your learning, right? And to provide some capacity building, accountability, if possible. I don't want you to just tell me what you think you got out of the session or anything that you saw here today. What I want you to do is start making changes yourself, right? And then show. So come back to this Padlet. I don't know, if you do something different, even if it's a small little shift in one of these directions, I want you to put it in this column right here, reimagining your own practice, not just an idea that you think you might do, but I want you to tell me and tell the rest of us, what did you change? How did it go? What did you learn? How did it feel? Because it's not easy to do those things without support. And I really want to be a part of supporting your reimagining what education is for and what it should look like for our students in the future. Does that make sense? So just one more plug, I guess this might be, as I round out the old session time here. There are several of my people here that are a part of this Flexlink idea. If you got a chance to take a look at this video where we're talking about what we're going to try and do in the near future and over the next couple of years to really kind of launch a new type of program where we really reimagine, you know, what could education look like if we got rid of some of these constraints like separate classes. You know, how could we provide a system where students can be even more fully in charge of their learning and do some cross-disciplinary things collaboratively in a space with some time set aside. And we've been working with our administrators to kind of get some time on the schedule and stuff. So if you're interested, please take a look at that. And we, I believe we're going to be in one of those breakout rooms in the next session. If you'd like to ask any of us any of those types of questions or hear more about that plan, that's going to be fun. And we're pretty excited about it. So I really hope you guys got something fun and exciting and helpful out of this. It looks like lots of people were pretty engaged, and you know, share that site with other people that you think might be excited about it. I mean, contact me if you want anything else. I'm here to serve and help you imagine the future. And I love working with people on that kind of thing. So, I mean, that's the show, folks. Thanks a lot, and hope to see some of you in the next session. If you want to drop by and chat live, that'd be awesome.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I know it's so hard to present without any feedback. Just a blank screen. All right, guys. Remember, if you heard something that resonated with you, hashtag on Twitter, WATAC2021 and WATeachLead. Thank you so much again, Ryan, and have a fabulous afternoon.